evening, everybody, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of WrestleZone Unfiltered. Damn, both of y'all swallowing at the same time. As long as you're not in the same room, we're good, I guess. Paul, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing pretty good, actually. I'm trying to train light to not, get sore, but
no Hindu squats today.
Just 100. Trying to keep it small.
Pussy. And as we're rolling through, continuing the indie scene as we like to have started doing. Last week, we had Jesse Daniels, hardcore champion, on with us last week. And this week, Paul, introduce your friend.
Well, this is he a friend? Is he an enemy? Is he more than that?
Your frenemy.
Is he part lover? This is my good friend, training partner, Sawyer Dalton. He is what they call a monster. Or that's how they're booking the match coming up. So,
are you wrestling him, or because you said that's the way they're booking?
No. They are having I actually love this title, a monster versus monster match. So, as big as this man is, he's fighting someone actually a little bit bigger than him. So Sawyer,
it's good to have you, man. Tell us all about yourself, and introduce our wonderful audience to Sawyer Dalton.
I appreciate it. I also go by Le Beaucourt. I am a independent wrestler here in Ontario, Canada, from New Orleans, Louisiana. That's me. You guys are gonna have to check me out. I'm a big scary monster.
Well, I guess we can if we want to get into a little bit of a get to know you. I would say, okay, who's your coach? If you went to a show and a vet walked up to you, pointed a finger at you and said, who was your coach? Who trained you? Who's your guy?
So I was trained by Battle Arts Beaverton in Beaverton, Ontario, Canada. It started off with Santino Morella. He owns the school. We've also had guest seminars for a couple months from some of his friends like Aaron Stevens, Damian Sandow, Trent Seven, Drilla Maloney, Timmy O'Connor was a very good trainer as well, who from there, and Ronnie Randallson.
It's that's a great list already.
Great guys.
Well, see, you noticed during the intro that I was kind of knew but didn't know that he was up in the Canada area, so I did not introduce you this week as Canada's greatest export. So, so he's talking about how big you are. Give us some stats, man. What are you weighing in at? And tall?
I'm weighing in at 255 clean, and 6'3" tall. I wouldn't consider that big because of some of the guys I face, but.
Man, I was watching OC and Darby last night, so yeah, you.
That's fair. I guess maybe by today's standards, I'm big.
Well, see, I told him before, when I was growing up watching it, as much as I liked Ric Flair and his persona and everything, how cool I thought the Horsemen were as a kid. I never wanted to be a wrestler. I wanted to be JJ. I wanted to be Jim Cornette. I never thought I was big enough to do it. And now, you and I are kind of close. I'm 6'2", right at 255, 256, roughly in there. Now I need to lose a little bit. My wife cooks really well, and about 3 years ago when we got back together, and my doctor kind of pointed out in the last 3 years I've kind of went on a growth spurt the wrong way, but but yeah, that was my thing. First time I watched AEW, he and I talked about it. Billy Gunn, who looked mid-sized back in the day. He's a monster. Don't get me wrong. He's cut. He's in great shape. He's about 6'5", 6'6", but you couldn't tell that back, when in his heyday, back in the Attitude Era. And that first AEW show, when I watched the Battle Royal and he looked like Andre the Giant in that Battle Royal, I said, damn, maybe I could wrestle these days. Hell, who knows?
Yeah, wrestling's definitely changed from back in the day with stature-wise. It's more acceptable for guys under 6 feet to be wrestlers, which is good.
I mean, it's good for me because I'm 5'12". I just we got to make it work somehow. Okay,
platforms too, right?
Yeah, and I'm 202 pounds. 200.2 pounds. Just getting it above heavyweight.
Well, I don't know, man. 215 was a cruiserweight cutoff back in the day, so
Ooh, that's fair. All right, I guess we can. I want to ask a sillier question, but it's like, okay, Sawyer, for your like looking back, if you were to point a finger at an era or a company of wrestling, what would you say is like that's my wrestling? Like, would it be TNA, 2000? Like, I'm just picking numbers, but it's like, what would you point and go, that's me. That's what like my goal, my imagining of what I want to be. Is there like a general time period or a.
I wouldn't necessarily say time period. It was more some wrestlers themselves I looked up to and was like, oh yeah, I want to do that. But if I had to pinpoint a time period, I grew up mostly watching WWE and TNA. I didn't get into Japan and that until I was a little older. So I would say like 2008, 9.
So it's like after, is that
It's like
after the Ruthless Aggression era?
Yeah, kind of getting into that PG era type thing, when guys like Batista, John Cena, Randy Orton were big. You had Prime Heel Orton in there, kicking people's heads off and such.
He keeps teasing to bring that move back. Just give it to me one time and I'll be happy.
Right? Just let him do it.
And it's like I've told him, with them being on Netflix now, they don't have to do it all the time. They don't have to go over the top, but they've already let Cody drop the F-bomb once with The Rock. So just, let it, it'll be, being he's hurt now, when he comes back would be the great time to do it. Just one time. Seth motherfucking Rollins. I don't care if it's a pay-per-view. I don't care if it's Raw. We are on Netflix. Give it to me just one time and I'll be happy.
Hell yeah.
Okay, now, see, I'll tell you, if y'all make me feel like the old guy in the room. That's okay. But yeah, if I was going to be billed as a monster, then I would be watching a lot of Bruiser Brody tape.
Bruiser Brody was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, but Brody was a monster compared to other monsters, if I remember correctly. Wasn't he like 6'10", something like that?
Oh, he wasn't that tall.
Yeah,
no,
I don't think he was too tall.
I might have been.
Now his hair might have added a few
numbers.
inches when he teased it up, but back with those 80s hairdos. But
yeah,
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm gonna look that up while you're.
I'm already 6'8", 300 pounds, Bruiser Brody.
Was that build height or actual?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, was that build or was that shoot?
Actually,
so if it was build, then probably around 6'5".
And
yeah,
it didn't.
They built Hogan at 6'7", and I think he was like 6'4".
And it didn't hurt Bruiser Brody standing in the average Japanese crowd, because they're, I think, on average 5'4". Like they're much shorter of a people. So you got Brody, and oh my god, he's just towering over these people.
Well, you got that too. His most famous matches were with Abdullah the Butcher, and Abby was wide, but he wasn't real tall.
A Canadian.
We don't claim him.
We don't. Yeah. There's been some mixed opinions on Abby in the last few years. I find like that's the Hearts too. Sometimes they.
Well, you talk about Abdullah and Brody. That's to me, and I know things are different, and they all come out and it's sports. And I get it. But one of the things I miss from being a kid and that kayfabe era was even adults would back up and very cautious of Bruiser Brody and Abdullah the Butcher, scared to death. And it's kind of whatever you want to call it, but his character is what kept the Invader from being convicted of killing him, because they showed all those videos and stuff in the courtroom of Brody coming out as a wild man swinging the chain and playing up the kayfabe Bruiser Brody, not Frank. And, and that's what kept that guy from getting convicted. Was that character was that believable, and they played that up in the courtroom.
It's one of those like catch-22s. Like, you're so believable as a character that they actually start to believe that that's your character at heart.
That's the character work we should all strive for.
Yeah, you actually start to believe it yourself.
His wife talked about it, I believe it's probably the dark side of the ring. So I don't think she's ever been interviewed for anything else. But, she said when he came home, he was Dad, he was Frank. But she said when she would take him to the airport and his hair would be in a ponytail, that, when he got out of the car and grabbed his bag as he's walking 2 steps away, he's pulling out the ponytail. And she said she saw that transformation like that from Frank to Bruiser Brody. And she said that the seas kind of parted, when he was walking up to go in the terminal of the airport. I don't know. Like I said, I just miss some of those believable characters.
Well, okay, so that might be an odd question to ask, but Sawyer, you got some experience doing the matches and stuff. That process for you, for your going, okay, I'm me, I'm getting ready, I'm becoming this persona. Is that like instantaneous? Does that take a little bit? Is there a little bit of a I gotta put on a song or two?
So I'm a big believer, seem to be one of the only ones left, of character and gimmick work. So I always try to stay in character as soon as I get to the show. Um, I don't want to go too in depth, but like if I'm riding with someone I shouldn't be, you know, make them walk a couple blocks to the venue.
Yeah, more like old school kind of.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I would consider myself. I'm only 24 years old, but I would consider myself pretty old school in the politic way. As for music, I mean, yeah, you'll catch me blasting music before my match, get me hyped up in that, but nothing for character. Like I'm pretty solid at just turning on my character with a switch.
I like what we say. You're old school. Okay, here's a controversial. What do you feel about wrestlers like tweeting, "Hey, good match" on Instagram and stuff like that in public? Are you nay? Are you pro? Are you like it's all opinion, right? Like we're not saying anything's wrong or right. It's
I will if it's wrong. But if it's face on face, I mean, whatever.
yeah.
If it's heel on heel, kind of weird, but whatever. But like, I learned pretty quickly. Actually, I think I can't remember who taught me this, but they always said make sure you have two Instagrams if you're going to use Instagram. One for wrestling, one for personal.
I think I've heard that same thing. Yeah.
Well, if you go back, I guess it's been 5-10 years ago, whatever it's been now, when Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns were that hot and heavy feud, and I'm not finished with you. That was the main event on all the loop, and they went overseas, and you got Braun posting selfies with Roman at these different, European, stops, and look like they should be playing the song. Let me tell you about my best friend in the background, and I've read a lot of reports where Vince was like that close to firing him, going, "What the hell is wrong with you? You're my main event."
Unacceptable. I know kayfabe's dead, whatever people want to say, but we should work our best to, bring it back, because as a wrestling fan at one point myself, like, I don't want to know all this stuff, It takes the enjoyment out for some people. Some people do want to know. I don't understand their point of view. But it's like that wrestling documentary that WWE released, showing all the backstage stuff. I don't think that was necessary. And,
well, two things with the old school stuff, from what I've read and heard, when MJF, the few Comic Cons he does do, he's in character. He'll make a kid cry in a heartbeat. And I'm all for it. I'm like, he's F this, F that. I mean, he's just that cocky prick you see on TV. Now, he might be that in real life. Who knows? But that's, he's in character doing the Comic Cons, and I'm all for it, man.
Yeah, and Jeff's prime example of what I'm talking about. Love the guy. Definitely studied his character work. Prime example.
And Paul and I have talked about it too. You go back to one of the biggest things in the past 30 years of wrestling was the NWO. And if things are the way they are now, Scott Hall's appearance would have been ruined. Kevin Nash's appearance would have been ruined. Hulk Hogan turning the heel, they might have been able to hide that, being he really didn't talk about it to anybody. But what led up to Hogan turning heel would have been ruined. Everybody would have known already.
Yeah.
And it ruined some characters too. Like, one of my favorite wrestlers, Bray Wyatt. One thing about him is he was scary, right? And he was portrayed as the scary guy. Well, how scary would he have really been if all, his face friends were posting pictures of him during the feud, right?
Well, I think you got to give him his credit for this one. Was back when the kayfabe was still alive and well, and Taker was playing Taker. He did his best to look like the Undertaker in public. He was in all black, would have the do-rag on, his hair pulled back, dark sunglasses. So he was the Undertaker 18 hours a day.
I just had a silly thought. Remember when we were all little? I know we're all different ages, but remember like Papa Shango, and he'd come out with the skull, and Warrior would like puke stuff up and all that. It's like, imagine if Papa Shango had Instagram or Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is a good example of like a certain magic that wrestling has out. Like, movies won't have this sort of same magic. You can see the Marvel people taking a picture and everybody goes, yeah. But if you see behind the scenes at like a lucha show, everyone goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Job, you're losing your jobs now. What is happening?"
No pictures in the locker room. Get that
And
over.
you talk about that. See, then that's right. What you just said is exactly why I hated the WWF. 110%. I'm used to sitting there watching, Flair and Dusty in a cage, bleeding like crazy, doing whatever they're, the Midnights and the Rock and Roll going at it, Magnum and Tully, Magnum and Nikita, these blood feuds. And then you get over here and you got Matt Bourne dressed up as Doink the Clown. You got Papa Shango making the Ultimate Warrior. I was just like, dear God. Okay. But that was me. That was
so this
thing.
might be a more a question I can put to Sawyer. In what wrestling is in your brain, do you like more of the bollocks stuff, like I like to call it, where it's like when Papa Shango makes Warrior throw up? That kind of, remember when Taker did the zappy fingers and like the ring blew up? That kind of bollocks. Like, is that something in your side of wrestling that you would like to? I know it's independent wrestling. We could say that kind of going into that direction.
I think there needs to be a somewhat healthy mix, I think if you're in this business, you need to take it seriously while having fun. And that's something that's a little hard to do. But, there's an extreme. Like, do I think that people should be shooting lightning out of their hands? No. Do I think, if you're playing a certain character that's, so I got kind of a supernatural-ish gimmick that doesn't get too carried away like that. But, from New Orleans, you do this voodoo stuff. You got to have like a realism if you're going to do the goofy stuff, right? So I chose a character because I like the dark characters, the horror kind of gimmicks, right? So I chose something where, it can get a bit silly, but it's got voodoo backing it, which is a real thing, right? So you kind of got that to pin it on. Taker didn't have voodoo; he just had Dead Man Lightning. Which I love Taker.
He was a wizard,
and I think Papa Shango had the voodoo gimmick, so I'm actually more lenient to that. And I kind of, it's a guilty pleasure. I kind of enjoyed the black goo warrior spot.
Well, even to give to join on the give credit to Papa Shango, he did the face paint, he had the skulls, he had the staff. Like, how do you say it? It's like seriously unserious. We know voodoo people aren't real, but he's shaking the stick, so it's making the rattle sound. Like,
he had a realism idea backing his character.
So, it wasn't just like I put a shirt on and now I'm Papa Shango.
This is probably an unpopular opinion in people of my age bracket, but I enjoy Taker's character, coming up through and watching it grow. But once Bray Wyatt became, you mentioned Bray, once he became, I enjoyed him in NXT, don't get me wrong, but once he hit the main screen and the main roster with the type of stuff his character was doing, I enjoyed his character more than I did the Undertaker, simply because, they honestly, they wrestled about the same, not the same moves, but, about the same kind of, Bray was more athletic to me than the Undertaker. He was quicker, but Bray's promo ability to make you believe versus the Undertaker just sitting there quiet. I was glad when they finally started letting him talk and cut promos. But Bray had that ability that a lot of people don't have these days, and that's to talk somebody into the arena.
100%. That's
a lost art these days.
It really is. Not I've never a bad thing to say about Bray Wyatt. Again, he had that realism backing him that I like, right? He was a cult leader, Bayou Monster type ordeal, kind of based off, I don't know if anyone has watched the B-rated horror movie series Wrong Turn. I always got like a Wrong Turn kind of feel from it. But, he had the realism idea back.
I forgot which B-rated horror movie it was that Matt Hardy got the broken gimmick from, but with the whole hairdo, the little silver stripe in his hair up here, and I could have told you if I hadn't brought it up, but it was some kind of B horror movie that Matt Hardy took that from as well.
It's like, wasn't there a fella that they sort of got Bray Wyatt's characters a little bit of influence from, where it's like down south cult? There was a guy.
I think they took the idea from Waylon Mercy.
They did. Good old Danny Spivey.
Yeah,
that name was just sort of up there.
He was going into I think that he was going into like that cult leader. I'm not going to name names, but I think it was just bad timing with him. So it was like, okay, maybe we'll push this idea like 20 years in the future.
Yeah, that character could have done a lot more back then, but Danny was at the end of his career. He was hurt, couldn't move real well. You know, he had done, his body was beat up, and you know, he was at the what a lot of them get to was the fuck it stage. He was pretty well done, but he was still collecting a check. And you know, but they the people you hear talk about Danny Spivey say that was a bad man back in the day.
Well, I find sometimes with those with wrestlers at that part of their career, sometimes giving them a super heavy gimmick at the end of their career is good, because it's like, look, you don't have to wrestle. You can just cut promos for the most part. We'll give you some rookies to put under your wing. You know, you'll wrestle 6-mans on Raw occasionally. You'll cash that check. Call it a day.
Like Chris Jericho and AEW, they kept sticking them in different factions, seeing what works.
I actually like the learning tree. I'm one of those people. I know it's so stupid, but part of me is like, it's full circle now. We all know it's stupid. He knows it's stupid. We know it's stupid. All right. It's like the puppet. I keep forgetting her name. The girl
Harley Cameron. That's the best thing on AEW TV right now. Her and that damn Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné puppet. I laugh every, and you know, to her credit, when she first started with QT Marshall and whatever that little group he had was there for a minute, where he was training people, and he brought in, you know, Johnny
Nightmare
Nitro.
Factory.
Yeah.
But you know, they brought her in, and she was doing some kind of singing. I mean, you know, and I've read how hard she trains, and you know, you could tell she's getting better. But you know, she's an overall performer. I love that chick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if she has a similar thing. Who's the Hart? Julia Hart. From what I hear, she's great. Every time I see her, she's learning. But it's like, there's been a bunch of different gimmicks until something clicked.
I think Julia, you might be getting her confused with someone. Julia Hart's had the same gimmick, I'm pretty sure.
I felt like she got caught in the
shuffle. She started off as the cheerleader for Brian Pillman Jr. and
right.
Garrison.
But then
they did that whole turn where she got spit in the face with the black mist.
She went to Aleister
Black.
Aleister Black left.
She's still pretty much in the same gimmick as she was with Aleister Black. So once she did the full heel turn,
I think they got her in the Triangle of Madness now. So she's wrestling in a females trios, and it seems to have clicked a little bit with her and Thekla.
Thekla makes it work.
Now her and Sky Blue won their first round women's tag team title match the other night against Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter.
Oh, I'm just happy to see Julia Hart. Like, I think she's got a great look. Like, she's young. You know what I mean? Trainer. They don't have a lot of, I don't know. Maybe I'm saying this is an opinion thing, but it's like AEW doesn't have a lot of like, oh, these are their up and coming women's.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of established women and a lot of new women, but there's no like, that's the girl in 4 years that 100% they're putting the belt on.
But I think that's because they have so much young talent. AEW's, I watch a lot of it. Seems like they just keep bringing up like Stardom girls, and but everyone's pretty young there, right? So the people in 4 years that are going to be running the division are probably the people you see now, really.
Yeah, and they do have a hell of a deep division. I will give them that. There's tons of girls.
Well, yeah, my two favorite people in AEW right now is Harley Cameron on the women's roster, and love my boy Takeshita. I don't normally watch Collision, but they got Takeshita and Okada in another tag match after what happened on Dynamite Wednesday with Okada. You know, him sticking out the hand because Don Callis told him to, and Okada giving the. I'm like, yep.
Two great wrestlers. Right there.
What did you guys think? Did you guys watch the entire segment from yesterday?
Which segment? You know what, the Don Callis
the
family
sit down, with all of them there.
I watched it.
Did you guys enjoy that segment?
I enjoyed it a lot more once Takeshita got out there.
Because I will say I was hitting the fast forward button through most of it. It's like I heard who the dog. Okay, fast forward. Why the Don? Okay, fast forward.
I was watching
face
it
to
live.
face.
I
all right, let's get
live. So I did not have that option. So
and
I've told you I've never been a big fan of the Young Bucks, but this gimmick they're doing with him now with the slow burn to to put the Elite back together, with them losing again on Dynamite in that four-way tag to get for the number one contendership. This slow Catalyst trying to get them to, be with them and all that stuff. And, from the prick EVPs to, being down on their luck and out of money. And that's really and that's, I'm not saying I've never enjoyed any of their matches. I didn't find them entertaining, but I just never cared for them a whole lot. But, they actually have something behind them now to sit there and go, what's going to happen this week?
They finally have some character. I feel like that was the one thing they have always been criticized about.
Well, and that they need it because they're getting older. They need to slow down their style just a little bit, in my opinion. I mean, who the hell am I? I ain't under flying around. But, I mean, they need to slow it down just a little bit. So, because again, they are getting older, and that shit's going to take a toll. I mean, you look at Jeff Hardy.
I think that was mixed in with some other stuff.
That too. Speaking of Jeff Hardy, a couple weeks ago when they did the TNA, whatever it was with Dark State, they did that Broken Rules match, and Jeff, I don't know if you saw it online or not, Jeff come out, his face paint was a tribute to Bray Wyatt.
Oh, I didn't see that, but that is awesome.
They did a tribute to him on a recent show, didn't they? Was that AJ and Cena?
Yeah.
Where they did the move?
Cena hit the Sister Abigail's kiss on AJ. That, like I said, that was not a 5-star, 10-year ago Okada Kenny match. What that people always, but you know what? For the story they put together and the hats off to professional wrestling that they did with all those different moves and the flow of the match. That's been my favorite match of the year so far. And like I said, it's not because it was 15 stars according to Meltzer. It was just enjoyable to watch.
It's like, wow, controversial opinion.
From beginning to end, when Cena had the handwritten AJ intro that he gave to the ring announcer to introduce AJ, it just went from there.
Have you been watching the John Cena retirement, Sawyer? Have you been keeping up with the ins and outs?
Not really. I don't have tons of time right now to watch wrestling in general. But, I keep up with it on Facebook and that, and I watch matches here and there. I did see some of the Cena-AJ match. There was a wrestling party I went to around Thanksgiving that hosted it. I was kind of filling my face with food, but I guess I saw some of it.
It's like, do you have a general impression about his retirement? Do you think WWE is doing good on it, or are they kind of letting it slip a little bit?
I mean, I like that it brought back. Other than that, hey, I'm a big believer in give legends the send off they want. Hate him or love him, Cena's a legend. Let him do what he wants. I would like for him, maybe he could be putting some newer guys over. But then again, I'm not too familiar with WWE right now. I don't know if they have any newer guys really to put over or.
Well, the rumored last opponent for him is Gunther, and if it is, I'm sure he will put Gunther over. But I don't want to see him in Gunther. I mean, the win at this point. I mean, Cena. He's lost to Solo. He's lost to Austin Theory. It would do nothing for Gunther except you might here and there. It's not he beats Cena if he loses, he must retire. It's already booked to be his last match, whether he wins or loses. So that's not a feather in the cap to somebody to me. So I don't know. I would just rather I'd rather be one of his former rivals, whether it be Randy Orton or the Gunther thing does not interest me with John Cena.
I agree.
I think that might have been we have to have him lose to someone young. Mm-hmm. Who can, and it was just sort of
not super young though.
No, I totally agree.
No,
but
when
it's
I say young, I'm talking about like guys like Carmelo Hayes or.
I mean, hell, I would settle for Braun Breaker, to be honest with you.
Braun Breakers,
and that's an easy story to get into if Cena winds up being part of the War Games because he's supposed to be on Raw before Survivor Series hits. Well, we get War Games every year at Survivor Series, so the rumor has it he'll be on one of the teams, on the babyface team. So, that could very well set up him and Braun Breaker. But, Breaker, they're pushing him to the flipping moon right now, and I mean that would be one more thing that especially if he went out there and, did a repeat of what Brock did to poor old Cena in that match. Good Lord.
Yeah, last I saw Braun Breaker, he was teaming with my boy Bronson Reed. So
still is. That's the Braun connection.
Has someone joined that group yet?
Not yet. It's coming.
Aren't they with Seth Rollins?
I believe Seth hurt his shoulder.
Yeah, he hurt his shoulder against Cody, and then they turned on him on Raw so he could go have surgery.
Gotcha. Okay, I think I remember you.
Yeah, he did the coast to coast in that match against Cody in Australia, but instead of coming off with his feet, he did a diving headbutt and jammed his shoulder. Yeah,
it's like I think they tried to shorten the distance so he didn't have to jump as far with the legs, but he landed full force with the shoulder and had it pull out. It kind of makes sense, but it seems also like a kind of weird spot to get hurt.
Anytime you're going forward like that, especially with heavy motion, you're going to land somewhat on your shoulder. Either it's crashed down forward and then roll over.
Or he could have even got hit as he's coming down, turned a little bit, and that was the shoulder. He landed. And
it's never a fun motion too. He could have landed like push up like motion.
Oh, those are the worst.
So with you training, how long have you been training now, Sawyer?
So I started training in 2021. So 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
There's a gap in between though. So I started training at a school in Hamilton, Ontario, which is about 2-hour drive there, and by the time we hit traffic, a 3.5, 4-hour drive back. Ended up shooting out my car after about a year's worth of training. So took some time off, got a new car, and then I found a closer school, Battle Arts, and went back there. So
all this hard work, all this training, what is your goals and aspirations for the wrestling business? Where would you like to wind up?
I just want to have fun, I just love wrestling so much, and I would like to help out the independent scene. I'll listen to offers, but I definitely just want to help out, leave wrestling a better place than you find it. That's just
absolutely. He and I have talked about a couple of different things. Like you see the internet go crazy when somebody leaves AEW and goes to WWE, and it's like, even if Kenny Omega winds up doing it and going for just a year or two, right now, AEW has not reached how long that mecca that WWE has reached with all the years they've been around. And the ultimate goal for most people that I talk to is WrestleMania. And especially the established stars, they want just that one WrestleMania moment. So I get when people are like, oh, I'm not going to watch him anymore. He went to WWE. But, how can you blame a guy that's been doing it for 20 plus years, finally gets his shot to go, and now Mania is 2 days. So you got a better shot of getting on the card. Mm-hmm. And, we talked about this last week too, with what WWE has went to as far as bringing in people. They're doing the NIL deal and bringing, college athletes and stuff in. So in my opinion, to go the independent route, AEW is really the only major place to go. I mean, there's TNA, but now WWE's got their hand in that too. So, if for the independent scene to make it to the next level, AEW seems like the best bet right now.
100%. Yeah, AEW is definitely the place to be right now. And the only place, I feel independent wrestlers will get, maybe a fair shake of things. Like you mentioned, the NIL deal, which is interesting, to say the least.
It's a polite way of saying it, yes.
Yeah, we'll keep it polite, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just old school, as everybody says and doesn't mean. But why are we letting outsiders in the business like this? I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at some of the old school guys. I mean, Hogan talked about it, and several of them talked about it. Hiro Masuda broke his leg the first day he went to train. And then, once his leg healed, he came back. You've heard plenty of stories like that. Kevin Nash talked about it, when he was bouncing at a club, and Barry Windham was the one that said, damn, you're a big dude. You ought to do this. He's like, man, I'm good. Well, how much you making? Barry said about 300. He's like, how do I do this again? And, he said that he went down and he's Buddy Lee Parker, the Sarge, and somebody else was running it. And he said they basically beat you to death the first day. And he said not expecting anybody to come back the next day. And I love Nash telling the story. He's like, yeah, that was on a Friday. They didn't expect any of us back on Monday, and I was the only one that walked in the door. He goes, and Sarge was sitting there on the phone. And he was like, he looked at me and said, "Oh, let me call you back. This dumb son of a bitch came back." So he goes, that was my introduction to the wrestling business. So
they definitely, you get some trainers that'll blow you up, as we call it, just for fun, just to show how much you truly love the business. And yeah, you definitely get some. There's definitely some rough bumps. I was in a class once, and I think this kid was 14 or 15, dislocated his elbow, I believe. Paul, you were there. Was it the elbow?
It was the elbow. It was the one day I missed.
Oh, you were.
So when I showed up later, I think I was with jiu-jitsu. Everyone was like, "Oh, did you hear it? Did you hear it?" And I was like, "Oh, the one day I'm not here."
No, it was definitely a crazy experience. Thankfully, I haven't had any major injuries yet. But yeah, just seeing that was definitely an eye opener. What we do is dangerous. And
so this might be a weird question. When you talk about letting outsiders into the business, it's like, is there a cutoff line where you would say, like, I don't know, I'm trying to express a weird question, but it's like, I'm a big fan of like guys like Shaq and Rodman in wrestling. I know they're outsiders, but they look the part and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, is there a cutoff, or was there ever a person in major like wrestling company where you just go, why? Why is this person doing this stuff?
Jay Leno.
Yeah.
That might be one of the
my answer would probably be most NIL signings.
Well, I was thinking of someone like a Jelly Roll or whatever, but at least Jelly Roll's a big dude. So okay, like I'm not.
I think
if you go back to when Jay Leno wrestled, it was him and DDP against Hogan and whoever the hell Hogan was wrestling. Hogan's partner was, but that came right after.
It was Rodman. I could be wrong, but I think it was Rodman.
Well, that came after. I don't think it was Rodman. And I mean, it might have been. I can look it up, but
Karl Malone.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. That Malone and Rodman went out there and teamed with DDP and Hogan, and that looked like a match.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next time was like 2 or 3 pay-per-views down the road. And don't get me wrong, the Tonight Show did a very good job for the NWO, letting them kick him off the set. That whole thing was great, just like back in the day when Lawler smacked Coffin on Letterman's show. But for Hogan to sell an arm drag or an arm bar from Jay Leno, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I got it walked away from the TV.
Didn't Jon Stewart hit someone with a chair once? I think that's going to be my pick of like, why is Jon Stewart fighting John Cena? What is going on? What is happening right now? Can we get not anyone better?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a little bit of a difference between outsiders and celebrities, because a normal celebrity won't be going to your independent show. Well, I guess actually neither of these NIL people, they go right to the Fed, but
they go right to the main event, brother. That's right.
It was Eric Bischoff. It was Hogan and Bischoff against Leno and Page.
You know what I will say though, I'm a sucker for when we're talking about like weird guest stars. I loved the Bob Barker guest star when he was on Raw, because he didn't get physical. He just made jokes. They did the bit. Sure, I'm fine with that. But as soon as you get anybody kind of swinging at wrestlers, like we were saying earlier about the illusion, if Jon Stewart can hurt John Cena, that doesn't make sense. It should take someone like Batista to be able to hurt John Cena to kind of keep that sort of magic.
It's true, 100%.
It's like this. I have another weird question, because you didn't say that you were young, well, younger than us. What is the oldest wrestling that you like enjoy? Is there a time period where you're just like, okay, anything older than this?
Well, to give you guys some insight, my favorite wrestler of all time is Andre the Giant. So, I go pretty far back.
Late 70s, early 80s?
Well, prime Andre, 70s. But yeah, I go pretty far back. Like, actually, it goes back to my grandmother. She used to go down to the garden and watch Whipper Billy Watson. So, I've watched some of his stuff. But like, yeah, I don't tend to go back and watch stuff. I try to do a wrestling study once a week where I pick a match that I remember as a kid and just kind of pick it apart, put it back together. How would I do things? How would I react to things? So usually when I'm doing that, I go as far back as maybe 78, 79, some early Flair maybe. But other than that, I don't go back too far.
Yeah, see, we were talking about one of those topics we've talked about before is older matches that would still hold up today. And like one of the ones I've told Dipshit over here to watch for months that he hasn't done is the I Quit match with Tully Blanchard, Magnum TA from Starrcade 85 inside the cage. I'll go back and watch that match any day of the week. My favorite match personally of all time, and it's because I'm a Roddy Piper mark. I met him when I was a kid and just fell in love, and it went from there. But was the dog collar match with Valentine at Starrcade 83. I was there. I was at Starrcade 83. I was in nosebleed seats, but damn it, I was there. But yeah, that's still my favorite match of all time. Like, yeah, I told him, I said, go back and watch that. I love Tully's response because Tully, he lost the belt that night. And to this day, he's like, I didn't lose that match. I didn't say I quit. And he's right. If you watch the match, when the referee's holding this was my problem with the Moxley Darby match. The referee, you want matches like that, you want the referee out of the way until it's time. And the referee never held a mic to Moxley or anything like that. So, this was back in the ref, and all he did was basically tap out to the Scorpion Deathlock. That's a different story for a different day. But you go back to the Magnum Tully match, and they're beating the hell out of each other. And Magnum's finally got this like spike thing trying to drive it into him, and the referee's back with the microphone and all. He's like, "Do you quit?" And Tully's like, "Yes, yes." But Tully's like, "I never said I quit." To this day, he says, "I never said I quit." If you watch the match, he's 100% right. He didn't.
And that's perfect psychology because he's right. As a heel, he's still right. But he's wrong.
Rematch.
Like you answered the question with a positive, so therefore you're wrong. But on a technicality, what you're saying is not a lie.
Well, I think I've told you this before. It was like listening to Roddy Piper talk about when he lost the Intercontinental title to Brett. And, he had Brett in the sleeper, and Brett did that kick over and pinned him that way. And, Piper laughed when he said it. He goes, I didn't lose that match. He goes, I had the hold on. Brett was in defense. Referee shouldn't have counted it was illegal count. He shouldn't have counted it. He goes, I had the offensive maneuver on.
It's all about positioning, okay? Like there was movement.
But yeah, see, that's the kind of stuff I'll eat that stuff up all day long.
And to give that period credit, if there's anything I like, the big highlight between watching old matches and new matches, I find new matches are a bit like once you've noticed the structure of a match, you've noticed the structure of a match. Okay, this guy's gonna take over. Boom, boom, boom. I find with a lot of those early matches, they come off more as an actual brawl, like a fight. Like the ones that we're talking about, like the creme de la creme, come off more of a like, oh shit, these guys actually want to hurt each other. It's not like, okay, Irish whip, lucha throw, blah 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 blah.
Well, it's like it's like Jesse was talking about last week with the Abby Brody matches. If you watch a majority of it, it's just punching in the crowd, and them guys looking like they're trying to kill each other but protecting each other at the same time. Stuff like that versus the Young Bucks doing 360s off the top rope is what allowed a lot of those guys to wrestle 35 to 40 years.
100%.
Another thing I miss too, and I tell Paul all the time, I thoroughly enjoyed good tag team wrestling. Like the Midnights and the Rock and Roll, those type of matches. I mean, even Tully and Arn versus the Road Warriors. I mean, if the Road Warriors had a good opponent, you could get a good match out of them. It wasn't just the, Gorilla Press Slam, the, Doomsday Device. I mean, the Road Warriors, they were very green at first and hurt a few people, but once they got a little seasoned in them, they could have a good match with the right opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I got another silly question for you because it's off the top of my head. We're talking about like matches and keeping it easy on the body and stuff like that. Have you ever taken a bump where it's like you thought this is gonna suck, but after you took it, you kind of went, "You'll take those all day." Is there anything that you thought was gonna hurt way more than it ended up like hurting?
Do self bumps count?
Sure.
Okay, when I was practicing my top rope moonsault, I thought landing on my stomach was going to hurt a lot more than it did.
Even picturing it sounds gross.
I think you were there. If I had to pick a move someone did to me, I don't take a lot of bumps because I'm big. which is nice.
Even the like Kurt Angle moonsault with no one there, that's to me sounds spicy. Like I would be
that's
nervous.
what I was talking about, right? When I was practicing my moonsault, obviously I can't practice on anyone yet, right? So I was landing, on my own, and it didn't hurt as much as I thought. I thought it was going to really rock me. And if I had to pick a move someone did to me, it would be a choke slam. I'm not a guy who typically gets lifted off the ground. But when I do and I take the choke slam bump, it's not nice, but it doesn't rock me as much as I thought it would.
Yeah, that's fair. Has there ever been like an opposite where you're like going into this like, oh, that should be no problem, and then you take the bump and you're like, never again will I ever do this. Never again will I ever accept the responsibility. Because sometimes it catches up on you. You think this is going to be a simple move, and then when you hit the ground, you kind of go, oh, that was not what I wanted.
Yes, a DDT, spike DDT, no question about that. The first time I ever got it done on me, I'm like, oh, it can't be that bad, right?
We've seen a DDT. It should be easy.
Yeah, hit me with the spike DDT, and I swear all I heard was like birds and bells. And I was like, I came up, I'm like, wow, that rocked me pretty good.
Oh, and that's
you talk about moonsaults. One of the things that I was always impressed with was Vader doing that moonsault at 450 and never squashing anybody. That you heard of anyway.
Trust me, as a big guy who does a moonsault, he definitely did squash them. They just didn't complain.
Yeah, the only complaint I ever heard about Vader was his gear stunk.
I've heard that too. Yeah, you gotta have some fresh gear, or people are gonna tell you. You get the boys mad at you.
I heard Bret Hart had a trick that he tried to give Vader. I don't know if this is a made up story. You know how wrestling is, but he complained like, Vader, I'm working you. Your gear stinks. So what Bret did is he's like, look, you got to take your gear, you got to lay it out flat in one of these rooms, put it under the lights, and just spritz it with like a freshener, but leave it under the hot lights so the sweat goes away, and there's some sort of cleaning it, and it's like that's such a like odd backstage tip to like hear. Have you, Sawyer, ever gotten a tip from a backstage context that you went, oh, that's a brilliant, someone said bring XY, or someone said you need this? Is there any a weird tick that you went, that's the best advice?
Yeah, I know the exact one I'm going to give you is air fresheners for your boots. Keep them smelling fresh. You wrestle with them, under the sole.
Mm-hmm.
I swear. So I used to have an issue with that where I'd be in the ring, I get back and then the whole ride home in the car is like, oh, I can smell my boots. Got to go out and buy new soles now, new socks.
Mm-hmm.
I got this tip. I can't remember who gave me the tip. Is just those like pine tree kind of air fresheners, the flat ones.
Like the car ones?
Yeah, kind of like the car. I slipped that. They were like, go buy a couple of those, slide them under your sole. I don't know if they were joking or not, but I did, and it worked. So I still do it to this day. Not when I'm out in public because I'm not trying to walk around smelling like pine tree. But, when I'm in the wrestling ring, I'd rather smell like pine tree than BO or whatever. Right?
Well, I imagine if you're, we've all heard stories about people ganging up into a car. Like I can't imagine 5 fellas, especially after a show, especially some bigger, sweatier fellas. You got 5 of those bags sitting in the back.
I got a sunroof. That's a fun trick too.
Oh, that's a good
me and
trick.
Big Charles Mayhem ride together, which is most shows. You've seen Big Charles. You know Big Charles Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
We're 2 big dudes in a car. Though that sunroof stays open. I don't care if it's raining or not.
Well, Sawyer, we're approaching the hour. Where can they see you coming up? When's your next show?
Actually, this Saturday, Bolton, Ontario. It will be LeBeau Sawyer Dalton versus Big Charles Mayhem in a last monster standing match, main event of Frantic Pro Wrestling.
In the immortal words of Gordon Soley, be there. Paul, what do you got coming up? What do you got coming up here soon?
I'm also going to be at that show. I will not be. Well, I'll be fighting a monster, but I won't be in the monster versus monster match. I have a fellow who I think is actually a little bit bigger than Sawyer. I have to try to fight. I think Sasha's a bit bigger than you. If I'm.
He's I think a little shorter than me, actually.
I look up to most people. It's hard to tell how much more up I'm looking. You know what I mean? So it's always a challenge
so
when
you made it from the commentary booth to the ring now,
huh? Hopefully I can stay in the ring and don't get immediately sent back.
He's earned it.
All right, let's wrap this up with what I like to do here. Today in pro wrestling history. All right, it's Halloween time, so 36 years ago tonight on Primetime Wrestling, if anybody remembers that, before Monday Night Raw.
I would have been 2.
Yeah.
1.
Bobby Heenan was dressed as the Genius. Gorilla Monsoon was dressed up as Brother Hate, not Brother Love. And later in the show, Rowdy Roddy Piper appeared dressed as Bobby the Brain Heenan. And if you can find that, if you can find that online, I used to love Primetime Wrestling. It was a recap of the. It was a recap. If anybody don't know what it was, it was a recap of the TV shows, plus some house show matches they would put on there, and the chemistry between Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon still to me has not been replicated for a commentator team to this day.
It's like maybe Gorilla and Jesse, but they never had that perfect. Will you be serious?
Roadblock, if anybody remembers a big man, Roadblock featured in the mid-90s in WCW. He turned 65 today. Luther, the butler of Timeless Tony Storm, is 57 today.
Is that Luther, the old deathmatch guy that would come out?
Yeah, that's him.
They hired him years ago. I'm surprised he still has a job. He's like the Virgil of AEW at this point.
An historical coincidence alert. Let's see what this is. I got to read this one. On October 30th, in 1977, at the legendary Mid-South Coliseum, Jerry Lawler teamed with Bill Dundee in an elimination tag match against Phil Hickerson and Dennis Connery. 10 years later, on to the day, on October 30th, 87, 3 of those same men crossed paths again, but this time on national stage with the AWA World Tag Team titles on the line. The original Midnight Express, Connery and Randy Rose, managed by a very young, with hair, Paul Lee Dangerously, Paul Heyman, defeated Lawler and Dundee to capture the AWA belts. Connery and Rose held the titles for a few months before dropping them to not the Rockers, but the Midnight Rockers of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. And then amazing how a Memphis Grudge match can pop back up 10 years later. Adam Copeland, Edge, turns 52 today. Got all kinds of birthdays today. Canadian legend, Eduardo Carpentier. Is that right? You know who he is?
I don't know.
He died 15 years ago today at the age of 84.
He might have been one of the early generations of Canadian wrestlers, because if you look back there, like Toronto was popular in the 20s and 30s, and there's a whole history there. So he could have been one of those fellas way back when.
Now, this one makes me feel old because I remember watching them as a tag team. 48 years ago today, Ric Flair and Greg the Hammer Valentine captured the NWA World Tag Team titles for a second time, defeating Gene and Ole Anderson at the Greensboro Coliseum.
Oh my God!
And before Valentine left, man, before he went to WWE, he had some blood wars with Flair and then Piper before he decided to go on. And another thing about that too, with Piper leaving, that's how I started watching WWF Sawyer. Never did watch it, but I'd seen the dog collar match. I noticed Piper hadn't been on TV and didn't think much about it. I just knew he was gone. I'm flipping through the TV one Saturday morning, and there he comes walking Paul Orndorff down to the ring. And what I later found out was, he suffered in that match a busted eardrum, and they just wanted, Vince wanted him as a mouthpiece. Didn't care that he couldn't wrestle for the first year he was there, but he having all kinds of equilibrium trouble and everything else. But yeah, dog collar match, suffered a busted eardrum. Master G, George Wells, he turned 78 today. And I have no idea who this guy is.
You think you're good at history, and then you hear some of these names, and it's...
Alex the Pug Porto turns 56 today.
Like, I appreciate a good dog nickname, but what?
Yeah, no clue.
It's hard.
The Iron Pug, the Concrete Pug.
Happy heavenly birthday to Danny McShane, who was born on this day in 1912. He passed away at the age of 79 in 1992. 6 years ago tonight, the inaugural AEW Tag Team Champions were crowned as SoCal Uncensored, Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian, defeated the Lucha Brothers in the tournament final. They would hold the belts for 3 months before losing to Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega.
Yeah, that period. Oh my God. It's so crazy to look back at that period of AEW. It's so much different.
And I never knew that. I didn't know this. Henry Winkler, the Fonz, turns 80 today. Happy birthday, Fonzie. But what's his connection to wrestling? I did not know. In 78, Winkler starred in the one and only playing a flamboyant pro wrestler known as the Lover, a character inspired by the legendary Gorgeous George. The film was a box office success, grossing over $16 million, and remains a fun slice of wrestling-themed Hollywood history. Yeah, did not know that.
I'm completely unfamiliar with that. I'm going to have to look that up. I thought I was good at this stuff. You never...
Oh, here's one for us. 1 year ago today, Private Party of Marquise Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy defeated the Young Bucks to win the AEW Tag Team title. And we haven't seen them since they lost them to the Hurt Syndicate, who is still and now they are no longer the Tag Team Champions. This does say, rumor has it, that Private Party is headed to the WWE, but we shall see. Another birthday. Happy birthday. I don't know who she is either. I hadn't watched TNA show in a while. But TNA's Jody Threat is 30.
Hey!
Happy birthday, Jody.
I thought she was younger. That's funny.
Go tell her that, Paul.
Well, I think she would appreciate me saying I thought you were younger.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this guy. Ron Slinkler was born on this day in 1945. He passed away in 2008 at the age of 59. His stepson was Dennis Knight, who wrestled as Midian and Phineas Godwin.
Okay. I was like, where is this going?
And just to give everybody a quick update, I don't know if anybody's read it or not, but Barry Windham was recently on a podcast talking about Mike Rotundo being in hospice care. That has been cleared up by the family. He had a heart attack a few months back. He is not in hospice. He, in fact, has spent some time in rehab because it was a massive heart attack. But he is not in hospice. So he's just he's just been in the hospital for a while recovering. So
can we give that family a little bit of a break? You know, it's been a rough few years for that family.
But that was it was cleared up by the family, and is also the reason that, you know, you've seen the Wyatt Six without Uncle Howdy for the past few times they've been out there, because he has been at home with his family.
Oh, fair enough. I don't even notice when they pop up, to be honest.
Paul, you got anything to add to all of that this evening?
Okay, so before we leave, I want to just ask a couple little trivia questions to see if, just to mess with you guys a little bit. We can. So what I'll do is we'll keep it easy. I have two categories. Let's go by quick. So the first one is WrestleMania moments. I'm going to tell you guys the moment, and you tell me what WrestleMania had happened. And I guess, I don't know, we don't need a button. If you guys just yell it out, we'll go by the honor system. So simply, what WrestleMania did Hogan slam Andre?
3.
Oh, you guys bloody nailed that on perfectly. Okay. All right, next one. Mike Tyson is a special enforcer for the main event.
12.
18.
Oh, it's 14.
I was closer.
Brock does a shooting star press that does not go to plan against Kurt Angle.
23.
It says, I googled it. It says WrestleMania 19.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, we got when was Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville?
WrestleMania 33.
Like 5 years ago.
37.
I got to figure out where we're at. What is this, 42 36? Or 41 this year?
Somewhere between 35 and 39.
I was going to say 37.
I'll say 36.
38. That was a great match. I don't usually like those type of matches, but I thought that was pure Looney Tunes. Everyone hates this one. The Rock pins Eric Rowan in the quickest WrestleMania match ever.
27.
Did you both say 27?
I said 28.
32.
Wow. Okay.
I know our kind of gauges are a little bit off on that. So 5 questions left. This is going to be a little bit funner. So this is going to be Hollywood, baby. I'm going to say the name of a movie, and you tell me the wrestler that stars or is in the movie. Roadhouse.
Terry
Roddy
Funk.
Piper?
Terry Funk.
Jason got that one. Terry Funk is one of the main baddies on it.
Fun fact, I've never actually watched Roadhouse.
Oh, highly recommend.
The first one's a good movie. You should watch it.
Okay,
I'm more of a horror guy.
This is not a good movie. Money Plane.
Never saw it.
What was it, sorry?
What wrestler starred in Money Plane?
$1 Million Man?
Marcus Bagwell.
It was Edge.
Really?
It was Edge and Kelsey Grammer.
I've
It's a
never
terrible movie. I don't blame you for not knowing it, but it was like 2 years ago or something.
If you like sci-fi stuff and you've never seen it, go back and watch it. I think it's 5 seasons. And Edge is on a show called Haven. That was.
I have heard of Haven, yeah.
Haven was very good.
It's like, okay, what wrestler was in Grandma's Boy?
Never seen that either.
You've never seen that show? That might be a very specific generation of that was like a National Lampoon style movie where it was very unserious. It was very quirky.
I'm gonna go Big Show.
Kevin Nash.
Okay.
Just plays generic bully. This one might be easier. What wrestler was in The Waterboy?
Oh,
Goldberg.
Steve Austin.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's like I think you might be confusing that with the
Longest yard. Yeah.
The Waterboy. There's a very specific scene.
Great Khali.
No,
that's
that
also
was the longest yard too.
I feel like you guys are on the right trail, so I'll give you a bit more like.
Oh, Big Show.
Hey!
Yeah, he was Captain Insano. It took me a second.
And then he had Chris Foley's brother, I believe. Not Chris. What's his name? The SNL guy. It was his brother who was the manager. Okay, so this might be a little harder, but if you're a horror guy, you might know this. What wrestler pops up in The Devil's Rejects?
Diamond Dallas Page.
Hey! He pops up.
At the biker club.
Yeah, he pops up for a little bit. He looks great in it too.
Him and I can't ever think of that guy's name. He's been in 400 different things, but they were bounty hunters.
Yeah, he's got a good voice down here.
I remember the nightclub scene now. Yeah.
I think
Sorry,
Jake's done.
I was so mesmerized by Bill Moseley's role in that movie.
Those movies are like what do they call it? A fever dream for me. So it's so hard to remember anything because it's so all over the place.
And as far as Haven goes, if you watch it, you'll see later. Edge is not the reason they had Edge in there. Just to give you a little backstory, that's when he got hurt, but SmackDown was on Sci-Fi, and they were trying to keep the SmackDown audience for the next show, so they had Edge come in as a kind of a here and now character, but they loved him and he did such a good job they made him a permanent character. And then of course down in the later seasons you would see an appearance here and there by his buddy Christian Cage. So
I do believe it was Terry Funk that said, "Get that SAG card," because I don't know if it's the same now than it was in the 80s, but apparently the Actors Guild insurance is better than anything that the WWE or whatever at the time had. So they said, no.
Jesse Ventura's talked about that in nauseam. So you got anything else before we head out of here, Paul?
That was me. I was hoping that we'd have 1 or 2 extra people. We can make it a bigger game, but since it's only the 3 of us, I thought, well,
no, that's a monster. So there was 4 of us. You got to give the man his due.
There we go.
Well, you never know what we're going to do next week. We might.
This guy's like, he's good.
Yeah. See, you never know where we're going to be. So this Saturday night, we got Paul getting his ass kicked by somebody bigger than he is, but that could be Hornswoggle. You never know what's happening there. And then you got Sawyer versus, you say Charlie Mayhem or Charles Mayhem?
Big Charles Mayhem.
Big Charles Mayhem this Saturday night in Hamilton, Ontario. Is that where you said?
Bolton, Ontario.
Bolton, Ontario. Let's get my provinces right one of these days. Go if you're in the area, go check them out. Happy Halloween, everybody. Sawyer, thank you for coming on. For Paul, I'm Jason. We'll see you next Thursday.